7. All right, we are on record for the second regular review of this case. And the names of our participants, please.
Good morning, Nicole Underwood, lawyer guardian ad litem for the minor child.
Ms. Taja Thomas, counsel for the department.
Macy Moore, foster care worker for Catholic Charities.
Michael Brooks, I represent Father Matthew Wright. Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Identify yourself, please.
My name is Matthew Wright. I am the biological father of Mackenzie.
All right, sir, you're breaking up, but you weren't breaking up earlier, so we'll just see how that goes. And I want to correct the record. It looks like we're on record for father's first regular review and mom's second review. So that's just a small correction. But
Michael McFarland, representing Mother Christina Lemley. Ms. Lemley, please introduce yourself.
Kenzie's mom.
can you repeat your name, please? It didn't come through.
Christina Lemley. I'm Kenzie's mother.
Thank you. All right, so let's get started with our guardian ad litem report.
Yes, Your Honor. I was able to meet with a minor child at her placement yesterday, actually. She seems to be growing and learning a lot of age-appropriate things. She's very close to walking. She's very happy. She enjoys Mickey Mouse and reading books and playing with the dog that's at the placement. She's very well adjusted there. She's comfortable with not only the placement, but her relatives that also, the relatives that also live there are the children of the foster care work for the foster placement. Again, she's reaching all of her milestones and she is in the least restrictive environment and continues to thrive there. And I would recommend that she continue to be placed there at this time.
Thank you. Would you say that the child is too young to express a preference at this point?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. All right, testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Honor. If Ms. Moore can please be sworn in. Ms. Moore, you provided a court report today, and included in that is your court report, the case service plans for both the parents, a notice of adverse benefit determination for Ms. Lemley as relates to the Odyssey House. There was an IPS for Ms. Lemley, the ICWA denial letter from the BIA, and then Ms. Lemley's probation discharge orders. Are there any other documents that you've circulated since filing that packet?
No, there are not.
And are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to your court report or the attachments that I listed off?
I only have a couple of updates. Matthew and I did get a meeting scheduled for me and him to meet this Friday, the 24th at 10 a.m. So that is a new update. Christina did complete the vaccination refusal, and I got the refusal letter from the DHHS. I can either file that with the courts today or wait until my next court report. And then the only other updates are just kind of fun ones. KW's first birthday is tomorrow, so that's exciting. And then she was also able to see her brother and sister yesterday, and they had just a fun day playing together, and then they got dinner afterwards, which was very nice, the family reported to me.
And as it relates to the parents, how would you describe each of their level of compliance with and benefit from their case service plans?
I would say Matthew's compliance is very minimal. The real only thing he's done was schedule the meeting with me. For Christina's compliance, I would say she's doing well. She's doing everything that's offered to her at the Odyssey House, and she's maintaining her sobriety through that.
Your report indicates that Ms. Lemley has I'm going to use the word graduated into the next phase. It is in maybe transitional housing, but she's no longer living on the campus. Is that your understanding, or can you tell us more about that?
Correct. She is now living at the Saginaw transitional housing instead of the Flint residential program.
Okay. And how is parenting time going with the parents?
Matthew Wright has not participated in parenting time at all. Parenting time for Christina is going really well. She does provide all the needed supplies like wipes, bottles, all of those things. And when I am able to watch her visit, things go very well.
Has there been any discussion about expanding mom's parenting time?
There has been discussions, but we have not moved forward with additional parenting times. The biggest issue is the transportation. I believe that it's unrealistic to ask Kenzie to be in the car for 4 hours and then have a 2-hour visit twice a week. But if we were able to meet in Ann Arbor or Midway, if we were able to meet somewhere, we could definitely get additional parenting times added.
Is there any risk of harm to the child if there were to be like overnights or anything extended parenting times with Miss Lemley at her current residence?
I think my biggest concern would be the lack of supervision at the house. I believe there's only one worker there majority of the time. They are on Zoom right now, so they could clarify. That's my understanding, is that there's minimal worker or supervision.
Okay. And through the supervised parenting time, there have been no concerns though, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And do you still not have the psychological report for Miss Lemley?
I do not. We have been having issues with Dr. Haugen. I did reach out to the Lenawee DHHS, and they said they were going to follow up with Dr. Haugen's assistant.
And at this time, how would you describe the risk of harm for the child if she were to be returned to either parent's care and custody today?
So for Matthew, I would suspect that there's likely risk of harm to domestic violence, homelessness, or unstable housing. I have not received any employment verification, so I assume that there would be some sort of money mismanagement going on. And then for Miss Lemley, housing would be a concern considering she doesn't have her own private housing. She still does not have employment either, so money mismanagement would be a concern as well.
The report indicates that recently Miss Lemley disclosed that Mr. Wright may not be the biological or is not the biological father of the child. Do you have any, can you just elaborate on that issue?
Yes, so I went to a parenting time in December, and she had reported to me that Matthew Wright is not Kenzie or KW's biological father. And she gave a name of who potentially could be. She reported that they sat down and discussed all three of them together. But beyond that, I am not sure.
Did you have, was there any indication that either of the legal parents wanted this third individual to become involved?
I'm not sure. I know that the three of them did sit down, or at least that's what Miss Lemley's reporting, is that the three of them sat down and discussed who was kind of going to step up. But beyond that, I am not sure.
No.
Your report requests that parenting time for Dad be, Mr. Wright, be suspended at this time. Can you just briefly state what the risk of harm would be if there were to be any parenting time with him?
There has been a breakdown of the parent-child bond. Matthew has not seen his child since the beginning of this case. So there has been a significant time without him being compliant or participating.
Is there anything else from your report that you'd like to highlight or from your knowledge of the case?
I do not believe so.
Thank you. Your Honor, at this point, I have no further questions of Ms. Moore and would move to admit the court report with the attachment.
No objection.
No objection.
Ms. Underwood?
I have no objection. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The court report and the attachments are admitted into evidence. We were looking for the inquiries that were sent out as of the last court hearing. Were you able to locate those or secure a copy of those through DHS?
I just reached out to the ICWA and they searched up the child's name and then they sent me that letter.
Well, there's like a form that gives them the information that they need in order to try to do the research for the child. Was that you? Did you use that?
I believe so. I included in my last report whatever we sent to ICWA, if that's what you're asking for, or if there's something I'm missing.
Yes, as of the last court hearing, I had confirmation that they had received something, and I think even a couple of letters, but not a copy of what was actually sent to the tribes. And so that was part of the last order.
Okay.
was to provide that for this court report.
Okay, I can reach out to DHS and obtain that,
Thank
and I can, would you prefer me to file it today or with the next one?
Just with the next court report.
Okay, I can do that, I'm sorry.
That's okay. And then the individual plan of service attachment, what service provider is this through? Because it's not clear, and maybe I missed it, but I'm having trouble figuring out if this is what.
It would be through the Odyssey House.
Okay, thank you, that helps. Okay, questions for this witness, Mr. McFarland?
I do. It's been about 90 days since my client has had her psychological evaluation with Dr. Hogan, correct?
Correct.
Is there really a need for the results if it's been 90 days with no issues?
I would like to obtain them since she went and did it.
Well, kind of hard to incorporate anything into the plan this late in the game though, right?
Not necessarily if that's her recommendation from the report.
Well, our clock's been ticking for 90 days and there is a time frame, you understand, in which she has to complete her case service plan. And it comes in at the last minute. She's going to be greatly hindered by that, right?
Correct.
Okay. How long approximately has my client had supervised parenting time?
The duration of the case.
About how long now? Just an estimate.
About a little over 6 months, I would
Okay,
say.
and there's been no negative reports whatsoever with the supervised parenting time, correct?
Correct.
So realistically, what is your objection with unsupervised parenting time if there's been 6 months of supervised parenting time with no issues whatsoever?
My concerns are once she gets out of the house, having to continue the unsupervised visitations.
Well, what about giving her supervised parenting time while she's at the house right now?
If that's allowed, if I can do it unsupervised while she's at the house and then return back to supervised once she gets out, I am more than happy to do that.
Okay. Or would you even consider exploring continuing the supervised once she gets out? Or be unsupervised when she gets out?
I would consider it, but I want to see stability after getting out of the program. That's my main concern.
Well, you having overnights right now?
No,
So if she's out of the house, she could still have unsupervised at a park, at a McDonald's, at a mall, something of that nature, right?
yes.
So what stability are you looking for in the couple-hour visits? I don't understand that.
What was your question?
Okay. Unsupervised visits, you're okay with starting them now where she's at, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then once she gets out, you said you would consider going back to supervised. But what's the concern with her having a couple hours unsupervised at a mall, a park, restaurant? What's your real concern?
My concern is just seeing the stability after she gets out of the isolated home that she's in.
What do you mean by stability?
I want to see continued sobriety,
Okay.
stable housing, stable connections.
Well, housing has nothing to do with visiting a child at a mall, at a park, at a restaurant, correct?
Correct.
You can do a drug screen prior to a visit, correct?
Correct.
When could you begin the unsupervised parenting time?
I would say I'd like to see like a month when she gets out of rehab to see kind of how she reacts to getting out into the free world.
Well, I thought you just told me right now, though, you're willing to start unsupervised at her Odyssey House transitional housing, correct?
Correct.
So when could you start that?
I can start it Thursday.
Okay. And if you guys were to meet, let's say in Ann Arbor, you would provide transportation for her from where she is to Ann Arbor?
For Christina or for the
Correct, my
child?
client.
No, I would not.
Why not?
That would be me driving 2 hours to Saginaw to drive an hour down to drive an hour back up to Saginaw to drive 2 hours back
Well, by
here.
assistance, I mean, you could give her a gas card. You could pay for her to hire somebody to drive her down,
I
correct?
could provide gas cards, yes.
Okay. And how frequent are her visits right now?
Once a week for 2 hours.
Child's how old?
She'll be a year tomorrow.
Okay, so you would agree that you're familiar that this court typically allows a parent 3 visits per week at 2 hours a visit. You're aware of that, having been on many cases, correct?
Correct.
So do you see how we could incorporate 6 hours per week visit with my client and her child?
Do I see how we could do that?
Yes. Have you explored that?
If she's able to meet us halfway.
So are we looking at perhaps a combination of meeting halfway and a combination of the child getting up there to her facility for visits in a home type setting?
The easiest would be meeting halfway for all of it. The child's getting to the point where she hates being in the car. So 4 hours in the car for one day is a lot for a 1-year-old.
Is there any reason why there couldn't be an overnight visit supervised? Up where my client is.
Not in particular, no.
That's not been explored, right?
It has not, no.
Would that be now?
We can definitely discuss it, yes.
Would that be through a family team meeting, maybe within the next 10 days?
The next 10 days is a push, but in the next probably 2 weeks, I could do it.
Okay, nothing further.
Questions, Mr. Brooks?
At the moment, at least, my client, Mr. Matthew Wright, is classified as the legal father of Kenzie. Is that right?
That's correct.
What was the mechanism by which he was declared the legal father?
I believe he signed the affidavit of parentage and the birth certificate.
Okay. And when did it become a question whether he was the biological father?
Mid-December, it was before the holidays, but after the first week and a half. I couldn't tell you the specific date.
Do you, of your own personal knowledge, know whether Mr. Wright is aware of this claim that perhaps he's not the father?
From what has been reported to me, the two parents have discussed it, but I have not discussed it personally with Mr. Wright.
So you don't know what his position is?
No, just what Miss Lemley has reported.
That's all.
Questions, Ms. Underwood?
Ms. Moore, have you been able to personally see the location that Miss Lemley is living in right now?
I have been able to see like the first floor area where they do the visit.
Has there always been a supervisor present during the visits at the new location?
Yes, I believe so.
Are you aware of how many people are living in that home?
I am not, no.
And you believe it would be appropriate at this time to expand from a 2-hour visit to an overnight?
I think that's a big stretch all in one go.
Okay. Now, the foster placement has actually been doing all of the driving every week. Is that correct?
Yeah, majority of the time.
Okay. Has there been any discussions of the department assisting with that transportation?
Yeah, we assist when it's needed. In December, I assisted twice.
Okay. What, from the visits that you have assisted with, how does the child interact with her mother?
She interacts well. She goes up to her. I think she understands that that's mom from what I have seen so far. Interactions are good. She's a normal, happy baby.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Redirect, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Recross, Mr. McFarland?
No, thanks.
Mr. Brooks?
No.
Okay, thank you for your testimony. We return to your seat. Any other witnesses, Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, I ask that Ms. Lemley be sworn in.
Judge James, Ms. Christina Lumley, join us by Zoom.
Thank you. Ms. Lemley, did you have an opportunity to review the court report for today's hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and was there anything in there that you felt was not accurate?
There was one mention where my oldest two biological children are placed with their maternal aunt. They're placed with their maternal grandmother. In addition to Ms. Moore has also received my discharge paperwork from residential, my discharge and completion paperwork from residential. And the estimated time of stay in the housing program is 9 months.
In the housing program that you just referenced, is that the transitional housing that you're in right now?
Yes, I believe in
Okay.
one of the previous exhibits, there was literature submitted to the court on the Rubicon housing program. That would be what this is classified as.
Okay. Thank you for letting us know that. Are there any areas in your case service plan that you need additional support in?
I think the only thing in my case services plan that I have not been able to acquire or complete yet would be the employment, which I just had some pretty extensive dental work done. So I'm getting to a point now that I'm healed enough to be able to start applying for jobs. And past that, I don't get any notifications or anything pertaining to like doctor's appointments or anything like that to be able to, I think it's item 16, participate in doctor's appointments, dental appointments, and extracurricular activities by any means necessary. I don't get information on as to when those are to be able to participate in that manner. Say outside of that, about the only other thing I can think of that's not in the case services plan would be a little bit of assistance with transportation. So as previously stated, gas cards or the ability to get a bus pass up here.
Okay.
But that I do believe would be about it. I think I've pretty much figured out and managed covering all of the rest of the items to be compliant with my case services plan.
Okay. And so as it relates to parenting time, if there were, is it possible from your perspective to meet halfway at all?
I absolutely can figure it out.
Okay. And what would parenting time look like in your current living situation?
Are we talking just like a couple of hours, or are we referring to overnight?
Well, for either. Just help us understand what that would look like. If it's unsupervised, is the child with you in like a room, or is it more of an apartment? Help us understand what this looks like for the child.
When she gets here, we do have, what do they call the locks? Code. All of our doors have locks on them that you have to put a code into to enter the building. And it's a full house. Multiple bathrooms. I have been accommodations have been made and arrangements that I do have my own private room with my own private bathroom. In the anticipation of gaining parenting time with Kenzie. So we come in Monday through Friday. Typically, we do stay downstairs, the residents. We do groups here at the house, which she is more than welcome to participate in. This last time when she was here, we ran a small little quick group that she came in, and I think she even participated in about half of it with us. So we hang out. There's a full kitchen and everything. I have obtained some toys and things for her. I have obtained multiple items of clothing and things that I've actually sent back with her foster family to participate in helping care for her back there along with here. When she gets hungry, I have a high chair here that she sits in to eat. And I mean, really outside of that, if I don't ever leave the house with her, I've never really asked permission to leave the house with her. I always, stay here and stay downstairs. When she does get kind of grumpy or tired, I may take her up into my room and we'll, like this last time she was here, I took her up and we laid on my bed and she drank a bottle and watched some Hey Franklin for a minute. Until she was done with her bottle, and then we came back downstairs and she had lunch in the high chair.
Thank you for that. And then as it relates to the paternity matter, can you just give us some insight as to, I guess, what you would like to happen with that?
I wasn't informing Miss Moore for anything specifically to happen with it. It had clicked with me in some of the paperwork, it had said that Matthew was her biological father. And I got to thinking about that if they were looking for any Native American descent on his side, in all reality, we don't know if he or an acquaintance of ours is her biological father. So on the off chance that it came back he was not her biological father, I didn't want them looking for Native American descent there when they needed to be looking on the other participants' family side, just so that if something did happen to come back from Native American descent on his side of the family, biologically there's the possibility that wouldn't necessarily be true. So I just wanted to make sure that I was honest and upfront with the court that, if it came back with any Native American descent on somebody who was not actually biologically hers, that, nobody got in trouble for, lying to the court or anything like that. But as far as any of us are concerned, yes, Matthew did sign her affidavit of parentage. He is on her birth certificate. Him, myself, and the other participant did have a conversation prior to her birth about the fact that, it may come out that biologically she is not Matthew's. However, we were all in agreement that the other participant, he was not required nor obligated to do anything for her. He's never met her, never seen her. by all intents and purposes and for all matters, Matthew is her dad. I just didn't want the court to find out later that, you know, any Native American descent wasn't true through him and have it appear that we had lied to the court. That was my only motive for informing Miss Moore of that. And I did explain all of that to her.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that understanding. I have no further questions.
Okay, questions, Mr. McFarland?
Yes, Ms. Lemley, when you and Mr. Wright signed the acknowledgement of paternity, you both knew, am I hearing that there might be another father, another male who might be her biological father? Is that what I'm hearing?
As far as DNA goes, yes, there is that possibility, but Matthew and I both had the conversation about it and discussed it in quite length and quite in depth. And we did not go the route of doing a paternity test because it didn't matter to either one of us which way it came out, with him being the, you know, DNA contributor to her or this other person. He is her father.
Right, but what I'm getting at though is that when you both signed this document, you both had at least doubts that he was the biological father, correct?
Yes, there is a chance.
Okay, and you two were never married, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And do you have a crib where you're at right now?
I do not have a crib, but I do have access to a pack and play. But I can acquire a crib. There's a couple different programs that I've already been in communication with up here about supplying larger baby needs if and when it came to the opportunity of having her more than just the couple of hours.
Okay, jump to my next question. The worker is agreeable to having a family team meeting to discuss what your future parenting time might look like, unsupervised, overnights, etc. Could you attend that and also have a representative of your placement there to answer questions?
Yes, myself would be there, and with me, I have my recovery coach, Kirsten, and then one of the other participants in the Zoom hearing right now, I believe her name is listed as Blaine. She is my therapist. She also can contribute to that.
Okay, I see her nodding her head. I'll ask her if she's willing to participate in that also. You mentioned a bus. Can you take a bus from where you are to Ann Arbor? Are you checked into that?
I know I can get to Birch Run. I know I can get to Frankenmuth. And Bay City, I'm not exactly sure how far the bus routes get there, but I could take a bus, you know, as far that direction as humanly possible. And then, you know, I will figure something out to close that last little gap, whether it be an Uber or, you know, something along those lines.
So what I'm getting at is you can check on that within the next 10 days before the family team meeting, correct?
Oh, I could have that information probably within an hour.
And you are asking that unsupervised parenting time be explored, correct?
Absolutely.
Whether it be in Ann Arbor, whether it be at your facility, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, they're just recording everything. Okay. Is there a psychologist on staff up there?
Can I allow Blaine? She is my therapist. Is Blaine a psychologist or just a therapist?
Okay. No, I'm just asking because it's been 90 days. We don't have a report. I just wondered if somebody up, a psychologist up there, I could get something done for you.
Oh, okay, sorry, I misunderstood your question the first time. We actually, one of the directors at the residential program had previously called Miss Moore and asked her if she would be allowed to do my psychological evaluation, and Miss Moore told her no. So, I mean, I could probably reach out to this director at the residential and see if she would be willing to do one now. But I know it has been offered in the past.
Okay, go for it. Have we covered everything that you want to cover today?
Yeah, I guess my only big thing was being able to explore extending my parenting time past the 2 hours a week.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks?
I have no questions.
Ms. Underwood?
Considering the fact that there's been little to no involvement with Mr. Wright in this case or in this case so far, do you think it would be reasonable to explore whether he actually is the biological father of your daughter?
No, I mean, I hope every day that he has the ability to get clean and move on with life to be nothing but a positive influence in his children's life. So no, I would have no desire for the other participant to be explored.
Do you think that your daughter is right to know who her biological parent is?
I mean, yes, it would be her right, but that again would be a conversation that I would have with her, you know, when she were older, and then let her make the choice as to whether or not she would like to explore that.
What is the level of supervision like inside your current residents?
We from 9 to we basically run like the downstairs as a business 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. So we have a staff member then, and then outside of those hours we have staff on call. And Kirsten's usually pretty good. Like if somebody needs to talk or is struggling that day or whatever, if somebody calls her, she'll come back to the house at night and on weekends and offer support to us.
How many people live inside the residence?
Currently at the moment 7.
Are there any other children living in the facility?
Yes. And actually Kenzie knows them from residential. They play together when she comes for her visitations.
Are there background checks on all of the residents?
I would have to refer that question over to one of the staff members. I know when somebody does a phone screening wanting to come into housing, I know that the phone screening is brought to all of the residents of the house and gone over with all of the residents. And then we get a vote of yes or no, whether or not we feel like they would be a positive addition to our housing community or not. But I'm not sure how extensively that goes on like the staff side.
How long have you lived in the current place that you're at?
I got here December 11th and I can stay up to 9 months.
Okay. And again, I'm just trying to get a better idea of, again, what a day-to-day situation is like in the new place, because previously we really asked a lot of questions about the former facility, right? So
Yep.
Where you currently are, since you've been there, so it's been about a month, has there been any police contact made?
No.
For any of the residents? Okay.
Nope.
And you're not asking at this point to take Kenzie outside of the residence for your parenting time?
I have not, no.
Is that something that if you were to continue with visits, you would ask to be able to take her outside of the residence?
Yes, there would possibly be occasions where, depending on when the parenting time was scheduled, where about little over half a mile up the road, we have something called the Unity Club, which I participate pretty much Monday through Thursday in outside Peer 360 and NA meetings. And then again, about a mile up the road at the health department, we have one on Friday. So depending on if any of the parenting time would coincide with that, I would ask permission to be able to take her to my meetings with me. But outside of that, as of right now, I'm still new to the area. I wouldn't be really asking to go anywhere, maybe once it got warmer, like to the park and things like that.
Okay. And do you think that your daughter participating in these meetings is in her best interest?
Absolutely. The Peer 360 groups of what I have considered what we call our home groups. In addition to having my recovery coach here at the house, I also have an additional recovery coach through Peer 360 that I can, text or call if I'm, just having a bad day or just want somebody to talk to, need somebody to talk to. She supports me with getting back and forth to the Unity Club on some of the days I walk when it's nicer out, when it's real cold, I can call her and say, hey, can you come pick me up for the meeting and things? So this is where I'm really starting to build and develop my solid foundation and my support family and my support system and my tribe, as we call it. So yes, being able to introduce her to what is starting to become, my second family would be definitely one of my priorities.
Okay. And then is there childcare at the current place that you're at? Because I know there was at the other place.
There is not inside childcare here. However, the other residents whose children do attend daycare, they attend a daycare that is very familiar with the program. The licensed daycare provider, I would have to get you the for sure name of it. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know the lady that runs it, she's very understanding and works with a lot of the girls here and things like that. There's been times where if transportation has been an issue for one of the girls, the lady that runs the daycare has brought children home to the house for them, things like that. So she's very accommodating and very willing to work with all of us and knows and understands what the house is in the program.
Okay. Just to clarify, so are all of the residents that are at this facility or at this home, are they all females?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. I wasn't aware of that. No further questions.
Outside of 2 of the minor children are males, but.
Okay. And how many minor children are living in that home right now?
3.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay.
Do you have the opportunity to work while you're in this program?
Yes, ma'am, I do. There's actually a place, again, just about a half a mile down the road that, again, is also very familiar with the program and what the residents are trying to do through the program that is pretty accommodating to employment opportunities that now that I'm done with some almost nearly done with some pretty extensive dental work. I am making arrangements to go up there and speak to that manager about some form of employment to start until I can find something a little bit more I guess, what I want to do rather than just, having the job.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas, any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland, any questions?
No.
Mr. Brooks?
I have none.
Ms. Underwood, any questions based on my questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anyone else, Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, I would just ask Mr. Wright to be sworn in.
Okay, if you could swear in Mr. Matthew Wright, he's also here with us by Zoom.
What was that?
Mr. Wright, can you turn your camera back on, please?
Yes, 1 second.
Thank you.
I didn't know it was off, actually.
Very good. Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, I just was going to ask a couple of questions. At this point, are you interested in engaging in your case service plan?
Yes.
And what are the barriers to, I guess, communicating with Miss Moore?
Communication, there's numerous different things. I was going through a pretty hard time. Was low on funds. I had broke my phone at one point, and it took me a while to get another one. And
I'm not getting any audio. I don't know if that's just my issue or for anyone else.
I think it
I
might
can
be
hear
just you,
him.
Ms. Underwood.
Okay. Well, and then the other part was housing. Yes.
I could hear you just fine, Judge, but I did not hear anything that Mr. Wright said.
Yeah, we can hear him, Ms. Underwood, so I don't. Did you hear Ms. Thomas when she spoke?
Yeah, I can hear her.
Yes,
Hang
I
on,
could hear
Mr.
her as well. I just can't hear Mr. Wright for some reason.
Should I continue or?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. We're having the same issue. We can hear everybody else, but we can't hear him either. I don't know if that maybe makes a difference.
That's not a problem I can solve, unfortunately.
So I should continue on? Or?
I can hear him just fine now, so.
Yep, we can hear him now.
All right. But yeah, and then the housing thing, I since have gotten like a permanent spot to stay. My grandparents, basically they've left the house, so my grandmother's still alive, but she is going into assisted living, so me and my brother are inheriting the residence. So I'm currently living there, but that's in Chelsea, and all the meetings and stuff are out. She wanted to do it out in Hillsdale, and I don't have a license, so I'm kind of within a rock and a hard place. Do I drive and take the risk and do what she's wanting, or or not do it, and then I end up in this position?
Okay. I think we can address that off the record, but I just wanted to confirm that you were still interested in engaging in your case service plan, and that there were no barriers to your communication with Miss Moore moving forward.
No, none at all, ma'am.
Okay. And would you like to add anything about the paternity issue?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you. Well, I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Questions, Mr. McFarland?
Just two. Is it true that when you signed this acknowledgement of paternity, you at least had a belief that you might not be the father?
It had been mentioned, yes, but it was never made to be a very serious thing. I can kind of say, I mean, it's a very touchy subject.
So you have no problem paying child support on a child that might not be yours? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, nothing further.
Mr. Brooks?
Do you want a DNA test?
No.
You do realize that's the only locked, solid, sure answer to the question, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I have nothing further.
Questions, Ms. Underwood?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, any redirect, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Any other witnesses?
No.
Witness testimony today, Mr. McFarland?
One question from the worker.
Go ahead.
To the worker. Is it true, as my client testified, that they offered a psychologist to perform a test and you declined?
Not exactly. So the psychological with Dr. Hagen was already paid for when they came up with the idea that somebody there could do it. So I said, considering it's already paid for, it's a little late. You have to go to the one I already scheduled and paid out. So that was the issue. They can do it now, but my issue was just that it was already paid for and they're not cheap.
Will you pay for it since you're not getting any results from what you paid for?
I guess that's an issue we need to address with them, but I have tried.
Nothing further from this witness, Your Honor.
Anyone else that you want?
Yes, I see Blaine Adams. She's been patiently waiting. If I could call her.
Deputy Ames, if you could swear in Blaine Adams, please.
Please raise your right hand, Ms. Adams. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Ma'am, how are you familiar with my client, the mother?
I work for Saginaw Odyssey House. I'm the outpatient therapist.
Okay. I saw you nodding your head on several questions or shaking your head. So question asked by a guardian ad litem, are the ladies there screened? Can you answer that?
Yes, we run a criminal and criminal sexual conduct background check for all the clients coming in.
And none of them have registered positive on that test for being an offender. Is that correct?
No criminal sexual conduct offenders. We don't allow them because we are a women and children's facility and their safety is our priority. But obviously we do have some criminal charges.
Sure. Okay. And is there anything that you want to add about parenting time, supervised, unsupervised, etc. That would be helpful, that you believe?
Well, they asked a lot of questions about the layout of the environment there. So I just wanted to add that it was previously a home for boys. It was a Holy Cross home for runaways. And so the downstairs is like a public area where everybody is at. We have a group room, a kitchen, a living room, and a play area for the kids. And then upstairs is where all of the residents live. And then we are a women and children's facility. So we do provide needs for the children like high chairs, car seats, cribs or pack and plays, things like that. We just have like a storage area of kids' needs so that we can pull them out as needed.
Do other children physically live there?
Yes, correct. Actually, one of our clients just got her children returned to her there.
Would you be willing to participate in a family team meeting where we would have more time, you'd have more time to explain the setup and people could ask you questions at will? Would you be available for that?
Yeah, of course. I can provide my email too if needed, so that you guys can include me on, conversations or questions.
I'll see if the court wants to do that when we're off the record. Thank you. Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Any questions of Mr. McFarland's two witnesses so far?
No.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Anyone else, Mr. McFarland?
No, thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
No, Your Honor, my client's already told me what I need to know.
Witnesses today, Ms. Underwood?
No, Your Honor.
Comments in closing, beginning with Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, I don't, at this point, Your Honor, we're just asking for guidance from the court as relates to parenting time, how to move forward with that for Ms. Lumley and what the court believes is best for the child. And then as relates to paternity, we would also seek guidance from the court. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. McFarland, any comments?
Looks like everybody's on board to family team meeting, so we can hammer out the details. The worker seems to be agreeable to unsupervised parenting time right now, so we'd ask that the court allow them to have unsupervised, but the details will be worked out through a family team meeting, so everybody can be satisfied the child is safe. I'm sure my clients agree with that.
Comments, Mr. Brooks?
Well, with respect to guidance from the court as to the paternity of this child, I don't think any guidance from the court at this point is needed or appropriate. My client is the father, period, the end. He should be warned, since he hasn't had much communication, that if he continues to follow the current path that he's on, it is 100% certain his parental rights will be terminated. And I think somebody needs to tell him that, and I guess it's me. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments, Ms. Underwood?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, I understand that there's an AOP signed. It's pretty clear by the testimony that the parties were both aware of the fact that there's a potential that Mr. Wright's not the father. I think the fact that he has been largely absent in this case shows a lack of commitment to this child, and she deserves to know who her biological relatives are in this matter. I represent her interests, and again, I believe that exploring the true paternity of her is reasonable. I understand that there may be certain procedures that we would need to follow, but I would advocate for exploring that. As far as expansion of parenting time, I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but I would like a family team meeting, as well as just we need to have some clarification as to what the expectations of the foster placement are as far as transportation, as Saginaw is further away. It's a lot to expect of a foster placement to spend an entire day each week up somewhere if there are visitations happening and she's responsible for taking the child up there every week. But again, I do understand that Ms. Lumley has been doing everything that has been asked of her for the most part, and that it's reasonable to expand that time. So again, I'm not opposed to that. I'm open to exploring that and participating in a family team meeting. I would ask that the child be continued in her current placement, as it is the least restrictive and in her best interest. And if there are issues with respect to Ms. Lumley receiving information on doctor's appointments, I would ask that the caseworker make sure that she is informed of those so that she can participate as necessary. Thank you.
Okay with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. The court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's review hearing. It was also a permanency planning hearing as it relates to how it was docketed for the mother in this case. Reunification appears to be the appropriate goal for the child, at least with mother, who is engaging in services, including support through the rehabilitation facility for issues of substance use. There remains a risk of harm associated with returning the child to her care. Namely, she's just coming into the second phase of recovery, and although she's participating, the court would like to see, I agree with our witness testimony, that she needs to demonstrate an extended period of sobriety. We also need to see her gain employment, look at what's going to happen after transitional housing, engage in some parenting education around substance use and how that can affect parenting, frankly, or cause neglect in parenting, and really educate herself and maintain stability and permanency for herself so that she can demonstrate that she'd be able to do that for her child. That includes also transportation. Employment is very important in the next 3 to 6 months, in addition to maintaining sobriety. We're going to need to see Ms. Christina Lumley begin to be able to support herself, support her child, provide transportation for herself and her child. At this point, she is entirely dependent on the services and the providers at the Odyssey House. Her child is in the safest and least restrictive circumstances or placement, considering those circumstances, and considering the fact that the child is doing well there, is supported in that placement, and returning her to the mother at this juncture would present a risk of harm, specifically as it relates to a relapse. And if something were to happen at Odyssey House, certainly without any additional supports that she's been able to put together herself, the child would be very much at risk of homelessness and neglect, and would not have the supports necessary. As it relates to the request to expand parenting time, I will direct that a family team meeting happen on that point. So I'll leave that to Ms. Moore to schedule, and what that looks like. The foster parents need to be at the table. Ms. Underwood hopefully will be able to be at the table for that, as well as obviously Ms. Lumley. So we'll count on Ms. Macy to organize that in a way that incorporates those supports. Probably some people from the Odyssey House to talk about what that looks like as well. Given that it is, there is no risk associated at this point with allowing unsupervised parenting time, understanding again that the success Ms. Lumley is having, which is great, is entirely dependent on her maintaining her sobriety and the supports that she has there at the Odyssey House. So it's appropriate, and we're going to move into it, but I'm not expecting massive amounts of parenting time or extensive amounts of parenting time, because we need to see Ms. Lumley tackle a lot of those other areas that I've already articulated on before we can ask the foster parents to make that kind of commitment and the child to make that kind of commitment. It's a big change for a child at that age to expand into that a whole other effectively living environment. So all those voices at the table and respect for all of those positions will hopefully happen at that family team meeting spearheaded by Ms. Moore. She's also spearheaded plenty of services in the name of reunification, which were reviewed on the record and in the report, and that is satisfying her obligations. Our guardian ad litem was also satisfying her obligations, and all of those findings will be contained in the order. As it relates to the request to suspend the parenting time for Mr. Wright, I'm not going to suspend it at this time. I would continue to offer it to him to the extent that it should be as directed by Ms. Brene Moore. She has a program for reintroduction, or for introduction in this case. And if Mr. Wright decides he's serious and wants to visit this child, he needs to go through Ms. Moore to make sure that that's not something that destabilizes the child, who's been out of placement from a parent since June of 2024 and is clearly doing well where she's placed. We don't want to compromise that. The burden of transportation is obviously becoming an issue for her, and we don't want her screaming for 2 hours at a time in order to facilitate parenting time with mom. So all those things need to be taken into account. We're here because of this child, and the efforts of the parents need to come up significantly in the next report period. We're gonna have our next hearing in conjunction with a permanency planning hearing for those reasons. Okay, so I've addressed supervised parenting time. Oh, the DNA test, that's what it is. I will ask also Ms. Moore in the next review period to explore the issue of paternity as requested by our guardian ad litem. That means finding the gentleman who could potentially be the biological parent of this child, offering some DNA testing to Mr. Matthew Wright might be the first and quickest way that referral. So that's contained in the court order, as well as the reminder to Ms. Moore that we need copies of the Native American inquiries that were sent. And I'll say, especially in light of the fact that the last order, or the letter that was received simply indicates that there's not enough information in order to do a search. So we need to see those inquiries, make sure that we have forwarded any information that we need to. Okay, next review, April 15th, and permanency planning hearing as well at 1:30 p.m. April 15th at 1:30. I will have a copy of this order if anybody wants it, but unless there's any questions, that's all for today. We'll see you April 15th at 1:30.
Will the court allow Ms. Adams to exchange an email with the worker before we close her off?
For what purpose?
For the family team meeting, she'd like to participate.
Christina can just email it to me if she has it.
Okay, they're nodding their heads, so that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, or I
All
can
right.
give Blaine Miss Moore's email. Either way.
That
Thank you,
works.
ladies. Okay, the third review and a permanency planning hearing as it relates to dad, and a second review second review for dad, third review for mom, and permanency planning on the case as a whole. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Nicole Underwood, lawyer, guardian ad litem for the minor child.
Ms. Saja Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Moore?
Macy Moore, foster care worker with Catholic Charities.
Michael Brooks, I represent the father, Matthew Wright. Mr. Wright?
Matthew Wright. Father.
Mr. McFarland, representing mother, please introduce yourself.
Christina Lemley, mother to Kenzie.
Right. Great. Okay, well, Ms. Underwood, let's start with your comments.
Your Honor, I was able to visit with the minor child in person yesterday at the home of the basement. This is the third or fourth time I think I've seen her in her basement, so she's becoming more familiar with me, and it's nice to see her walking and trying to talk and just being more of a toddler than a baby at this last visit. She brought me a book and we sat down and read it. She was able to point at the animals that I was asking her to point at, and just overall turning into a really great young girl. Her needs are certainly being met at her basement. They are continuing to provide her consistency, stability, guidance, providing her any medical care she might need. They are also going all the way up to Miss Lumley at least once per week, doing all that transportation for visitation, which is, in my opinion, going above and beyond what they have to be doing, but they are still continuing to do that in order to foster mother-child bond. But overall, I believe that her placement continues to be the least restrictive in her best interest at this time. Thank you.
Okay. All right, testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Your Honor, today, I'll start with Ms. Moore today. Thank you.
All right, is it possible for you to use your camera while you're testifying today?
I can attempt to. I'm actually out of town on vacation. I'm just worried that will affect my audio.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for the explanation, and thank you for joining us even though you're on vacation.
All right, thank you. Ms. Moore, you've prepared a court report for today's hearing, and it looks like it includes some ICWA documentation or follow-up, the non-medical immunization waiver that we've been waiting for, and also a copy of the psychological report from Ms. Lemley that we've been waiting for, and then a DNA, I guess, no-show report for Mr. Wright. Are there any other documents that you've circulated since providing this report to the parties and to the court?
There is not, no.
Okay, and to the best of your knowledge, are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to the report or any of the documents?
Yeah, I only have a couple updates. So I had texted Matthew, still attempting to schedule a face-to-face meeting with him last week, and he responded back to me pretty late on Friday night, and I started vacation yesterday. So I will, once I return to office, get that ball rolling again and hopefully get something scheduled. And then my other update is the last thing I heard regarding Christy is that she was still waiting to be scheduled for orientation for work. So she has not quite started as far as I'm aware. And then Christina also petitioned to get her rent pushed back to May 11th to where she'll have to pay it on May 11th. And then also petitioned to get her rent lowered. But I believe we do not have an answer back from the Odyssey house yet on that.
Okay. Okay, thank you for those updates. During this review period, how would you describe the parents' level of compliance with and benefit from their case service plans?
I would say Matthews is non-compliant. I have attempted to schedule multiple face-to-faces with him, and he'll schedule the appointments and then not show up, or just read my messages and not respond for days on end. Christina's engagement has been really good. Everything still kind of lies with the Odyssey house, as she still has quite a couple months until completion of the program.
Okay. And generally speaking, at this point in time, what would be the risk of harm to the child if the child were to be returned to either parent's care and custody today?
For Matthew, it would be risk of homelessness, insufficient income to meet needs, potential substance use, potential exposure to domestic violence. For Christina, there's homelessness in a way because she's still in the program and that gives her housing, but it's not secure, ongoing, forever housing. And then there would also be exposure to income mismanagement as well there, as Miss Lumley does not have the job or started the job yet.
Okay. Now that the report for the psychological is finally here, are any of the recommendations still outstanding?
I do not believe so off the top of my head.
Okay. The parenting time is still structured and supervised. Is that correct?
It's supervised when it's not at the Odyssey house. So we do unsupervised when it's at the Odyssey house. And then in the community is when we supervise.
Okay. And Odyssey House is part of the substance abuse treatment program?
Yes, that's where she's currently staying.
Okay. And do you know if she, by any chance, is she still completing the random drug and alcohol screens?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. And still engaged in individual therapy?
Yep.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, do you believe that her therapeutic goals have addressed taking inventory of prior behaviors and relationships that have led to an abuseful or an abuse or neglected environment for her children?
I believe we're kind of in the middle of it. I don't think we've gotten over the hump. I think we're kind of at the top of the hill waiting for the roller coaster.
Okay. And then parenting classes, has that been completed?
It has not been completed through us. We made a referral for Well Springs in Jackson, and they were unable to assist with the case. So I had reached out to the Saginaw Well Springs, and I have not heard back, and I will follow up when I return.
Okay. And do you know if Miss Lemley, if her services are also addressing domestic violence and other relational patterns?
Yes, she is. I believe she does at least weekly domestic violence, like groups, if not more.
Okay. All right. And then I know that at the last hearing, I want to say there was a request to suspend Dad's parenting time, and then I believe the court had stated we would need guidance from a therapist, perhaps Miss Brene Moore. Do you have any update on that?
I do not have any update on that. I had referred Matthew and Kenzie to Brene Moore for their reintroduction visits, and Matthew has failed to engage.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, as it relates to the ICWA stuff, it looks like the BIA just said there's not enough information. Has any new information come to light that it would be necessary to resubmit the inquiry to any specific tribes?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. And is there anything that you would like the court to know about how things are going with the case or how the child is doing?
Nope, that is all.
Okay, thank you. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions of Ms. Moore and would move to admit the court report with the attachments.
No objections.
No objection. No objection.
Thank you. They have received questions for this witness, Mr. McFarland.
I do. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
My client informs me that she is obtaining part-time employment beginning tomorrow at 20 to 30 hours per week. What does she have to do to provide verification to you, such as submit a copy of a paycheck stub or
Yep,
what does she need?
exactly. Submit a copy of the paycheck stub, and I'm good if she does it about once every month.
So she can snapshot a photo to you?
Yep.
Okay, so that's at Home Depot, so that's what she's going to be doing. Next, she has a potential roommate, or actually here in the courtroom. If she wants to have residency there, does this person need to be checked out first through you, or what's the process?
Yes, we would do like a check on them, make sure they don't have any worrisome background or charges in their background.
And then do you also do a walkthrough of the potential residency also?
Yes, I would do a home visit with Christina in her residence.
So she should, when do you return so she can reach out to you about that?
I return back on office 9 a.m. on Tuesday.
Okay. I understand that the supervised visits are at the library in Ann Arbor, am I correct?
Correct.
With the weather becoming nicer, we hope, come May, what are the odds of perhaps having a less enclosed, like a park or something like that?
Oh, I'm not opposed to that at all. That would probably be nicer for all of us.
Okay. And what about at the Odyssey House? If it's supervised, if a supervisor would, let's say, walk with them on the ground, something like that, as long as there's somebody present, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Looking at the future for visitation, if she has a suitable residence, is that someplace that we could look at down the road as far as having supervised visits there?
Yes, we could look into that, but I would also need to be looking into transportation as well.
Okay. Okay. What's the impediment for unsupervised parenting time right now? And if it still exists, what would we need to do to start unsupervised parenting time?
So, as I said at the last court hearing, my concern is once she leaves the Odyssey house and there's not anybody watching her every move, basically. So that's my main concern, is that once she is out of treatment, that we could take steps backwards or whatnot. So that's my major concern, is the time after she gets out of treatment.
Okay, well, I guess you could do with a drug test before the visits. That would also satisfy that.
We would not get the results of that drug test back in time.
True, but you would know what a person looks like if they're high, correct?
Hopefully, yes.
You would not let somebody have a visit if you thought they were under the influence of any type of substances,
No.
correct?
Correct. I would not do that.
Okay. Okay. Is that something that might be explored in a family team meeting, how to expand that down the road?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. I think our main focus right now was expanding, making it easier on the child was our kind of what I understood from our last family team meeting, that was our main focus at the time.
Okay, well, the goal is still reunification, correct?
Correct.
So I know the purpose of my client wanting me to ask these questions is so we can keep advancing forward, not just the same routine. So that's the reason I'm asking this. As far as the case service plan, is she focused where she needs to be on the case service plan?
Yes, I would say so.
She tells me that we have somebody from the Odyssey House here to testify that she's progressing under the goals established by the psychological evaluation. Would you agree that she's progressing?
Yes, I would.
As you would expect under the case service plan per the psychological evaluation?
Yes, I would.
Is her focus where it needs to be right now under the case service plan?
That's a loaded question. It's kind of hard for me to answer. I think her focus is good because she is focused on getting healthy, getting better for her child, and everything like that. So I would say yes.
I hear some hesitation. Is there some question about her progress, or when you said it's a loaded question?
I think it's just a loaded question. I don't know exactly how she's thinking, but the only hesitance that I thought on my end was just more so what's in Kenzie's best interest rather than what's in Christy's best interest.
What is mom asking for that you see is not in the best interest of reunification for the child?
It's not necessarily best interest of reunification, but like just what comes to mind is she's hates being in the car, and that's a big issue. So that's something I wanted to address.
So how often, well, you mean for the visits in Ann Arbor or the visits at Odyssey House?
Both. She just doesn't enjoy being in the car that much. She's a young child.
Okay, so do you have a way that you could transport mom rather than transport the child?
I don't think that would be feasible for us because that's a whole entire day of work. That would be my whole 9 to 5 was driving back and forth.
Who drives the child right now?
It's either the placement or the agency.
Have you thought about meeting someplace in the center if she can't find transportation? Or
That's what we've been doing in Ann Arbor.
okay, that's what I wondered.
So we are on the right track.
If mother, what period of time would you need for her to demonstrate sobriety and residency and work to consider placement of the child with her, which may alleviate this?
Are you saying after she is out of the program, like on her own?
Well, I guess, does she necessarily have to be out of the program if she has independent living, if she has a job, if she's demonstrated no regression back into drugs? Does she necessarily need to be out of the program to have the child living with her?
I'm not sure. Yes, I would say.
Maybe I didn't phrase that correctly, but when you say yes, what do you mean by yes?
I'm confused by your question, I guess, if you could rephrase it.
Sure. Part of what might relieve the transportation of the child would be if the child could live with mother. So if mother has stable living arrangements, stable employment, has maintained sobriety from any controlled substances, maybe if she's still in the program but has demonstrated that, how long do you need for her to demonstrate sobriety in order for the child to live with her if these conditions have been met?
Well, I guess it would depend when all of the conditions are met, but I would say 2 reporting periods, 6 months, 6 to 9 months. But all of those things have to be met.
Okay, thank you. I'll be calling my client, so I'll rest with that.
Questions, Mr. Brooks?
No, Your Honor.
Ms.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
All right, Ms. Moore, I've read your report dated April 15th of this year. My client tells me he's looked at it. In a nutshell, basically it says here that Mr. Wright, the father, has done nothing. Is that a fair summary of what you wrote?
Correct.
He tells me that he's had some trouble communicating with you. Is that accurate?
I would say that's inaccurate.
Why?
I have messaged Matthew multiple times, and on Facebook Messenger, you can see when the person reads the message that you send them, and every time I send him a message, he reads it and doesn't respond.
I see. Your office is where?
425 Ormsby Street.
Do you know where my client lives?
I have offered to meet with your client in the Jackson office, Hillsdale office, and Adrian office.
Do you know where my client lives?
The last reported address I have for him was Chelsea. He did not report his new address.
So to the best of your knowledge, he still lives in Chelsea.
I believe so, yes.
Do you know whether he has a car?
I don't believe so, but I'm not 100% sure.
Do you know whether he even has a driver's license?
He does not.
Would you agree with me that if he lives in Chelsea and you're offering to meet him in other mid-sized communities surrounding Chelsea, but not really anywhere near, that this poses a challenge to him, an obstacle?
Well, I had offered your client gas cards for transportation assistance, and he had stated that he would be able to make it to the Jackson office. So I was not aware that it was an issue for your client.
A gas card for a car he doesn't own.
Well, if he could have a friend drive him, he could give the friend a gas card.
Well, again, I'm gonna ask the question, do you agree with me that his current situation, not owning a car and not having a driver's license, at the very least, do you admit that could present a barrier to him participating with you in this case service plan?
Yes, it could potentially have a barrier on that, but that was never expressed to me that that was a barrier.
I have nothing further.
Ms. Underwood, any questions?
Ms. Moore, how long does the department expect the placement to bear the burden of the transportation for the child at the once per week visits at the Odyssey House?
The hope is for that to be ending as soon as possible. The hope was for it to end about this month. But I have no for certain date, I guess, without the guidance of the court.
Okay. Other than continued sobriety, what type of progress would you say Ms. Lumley has made over the last 3 months?
She has done a lot of mental health and domestic violence groups that I would say would be a big one. I think her mindset has changed a lot, especially relating to domestic violence.
Okay. Other than what you just found out to be a barrier with Mr. Wright, as far as lack of transportation, is it possible that you could have made progress with Mr. Wright with regular phone contact?
Yes, I text him at minimum once a week, but I shoot for twice a week.
Okay. So it's not just physical visits that you've attempted, it's actual phone contact and Facebook contact that has gone largely unanswered by Mr. Wright?
Yes, he'll sometimes answer like 3 days later. And I've also sent him all of his referrals via Facebook Messenger as well.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Any redirect?
Just one question. Ms. Moore, I noticed that in the court report, there is not an updated case service plan. Has that been reviewed with the parents during this review period?
I believe we reviewed it with Christy at an FTM last month, but I did not have her sign a new copy because it was a virtual FTM, but it has not been able to be reviewed with Matthew Wright.
Okay. And were there any updates at that FTM to the case service plan?
No, there was not. The FTM was mainly focused on parenting time and how we're going to transition to Adrian.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Were there any changes made to the case services plan as it relates to Ms. Lemley?
No, there was not.
All right, any additional cross-examination questions, gentlemen?
No, thank you.
No.
Okay, your next witness, Ms. Thomas.
Your Honor, I don't have any other witnesses at this time.
Mr. McFarland?
I call my client, if I might.
Sure.
Your head, please. Going up there.
Ms. Christina Lemley, come on up to the witness.
Christina, I know that you heard that your child is not real comfortable with the transporting, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you were telling me something about moving to Ann Arbor and then coming to Adrian for visits or something. Tell the court what you were trying to express to me.
So the last family team meeting that we had, which involved Miss Moore, can I call her Aunt Dawn?
Yeah.
Okay, my Aunt Dawn and myself.
We just don't use the name of the child here.
Okay, so we came to the conclusion that due to the amount of distance and the amount of time in the car and that she is spending in her car seat, on top of the time having to be spent by her foster family and the, you know, wear and the tear on their vehicles, things like that, you know, going over mileage on a lease, you know, using other vehicles and then wear and tear on those vehicles, that we came to the conclusion that within the next 30 days, we are going to start transitioning my Thursday visits from Saginaw to Ann Arbor, and then my Tuesday visits from Ann Arbor to Adrian, which so then I will be responsible to get myself to Ann Arbor and then myself to Adrian those 2 days.
What steps have you taken to make arrangements for that?
I have a friend currently sitting behind you in the courtroom that is willing to assist me with those transportations, on top of I do have my orientation tomorrow to begin work. So when she is unavailable to be able to get me back and forth, I will be running a car myself to get back and forth.
You have a valid driver's license.
I do.
And would you be asking for her to have a gas card for her inconvenience of assisting you?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have read your psychological evaluation, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my
hang on, is that yes?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. You wanted to express to the court what you have done to comply with that, correct? Through the Odyssey House.
Yes.
Go ahead, this is your turn.
Okay. Yesterday morning, my therapist through the outpatient program of Odyssey, we sat down and went like line for line, beginning to end through my psychological evaluation. And because there was a lot of the language I didn't understand necessarily. So she really broke things down for me. And the things in there that were concerning, I feel I have made, you know, massive leaps and bounds with. The ability to have integrity, the ability to take accountability for things. You know, I've made a really massive effort over the last couple months, especially to, you know, even just reach out to people that I know that I had been telling lies to for long periods of time and correcting those lies and being like, hey, you know, I need to come clean about this. You know, apologizing to different people that I used to be friends with, my family members, you know, things like that. I have reached out and started communicating with a couple different of my family members that, you know, I no longer communicated with due to my own actions, you know, in my addiction, things like that. So that was what I kind of got was like a major thing in the psychological evaluation, was just, you know, my inability to be able to be honest, not only with myself, but with other people. And
might ask the question on that. Would you be willing to sign a release so that the individual who you're describing at Odyssey House would be able to independently tell your caseworker about the progress under that psychological evaluation as you're describing? Would you be willing to do that?
Absolutely. And I do believe she is on Zoom if the court wanted any.
I understand, but if your worker would like to hear her and the particulars, would you be willing to sign a release so she's free to speak to her on that?
Yes, and there is one already filed through the Odyssey program that there's a release of information for pretty much everybody in this room, including my caseworker and everything too. So they are absolutely free to talk to her.
Okay, and you realize that you're also your caseworker, who's your eyes and ears on that case service plan, who needs to speak to this individual so she can make a determination. Do you understand that?
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yeah, now I do.
Okay. Employment. You have a job tomorrow, right?
I do. Yep. I have the email confirmation on my phone. I go in from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. for orientation at Home Depot. It is starting out a part-time position, but they have guaranteed me between 25 and 35 hours per week. It is $16.50 an hour to start out. I have also volunteered for cross training, which if I end up working out.
What's cross training?
So I'm assigned the plumbing department, but once I'm fully trained in everything in the plumbing department, I can cross train into other departments. So then,
more hours?
Yep, it'll allow me more hours. Plus, when say I'm there in my department for the day and they're short in another one and need me to cover for a couple of hours, I'll be cross trained with the ability to do that. And after 30 days of that cross training starting and everything and being officially trained in those other departments, I can actually receive a little bit extra wages per hour for working outside of my main assigned department.
Is it true that you told me, is it true in general, that you've explained to your worker your situation and they're going to work around your parenting time and your other Odyssey House schedule? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. When I went in for to have my fill out all the information for the background check and things like that and let them know on my availability. I did let them know that I do have visitations with my daughter Tuesdays and Thursdays. So as of right now, I'm not available until after 3 p.m. and they're perfectly fine with that. And then we discussed the fact if that were to ever change or need to be adjusted or anything like that, I just need to keep in contact with them. And Ms. Moore told me the same thing, you know, just keep in contact with her if my schedule conflicts and we can work around it.
Have you sent Ms. Moore this confirmation of employment?
No, I just
Will you?
received it. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Next, as far as residency,
Mm-hmm.
where's this proposed residency? What community?
It's in Saginaw. It's actually only about maybe half or 3/4 of a mile from where my current address is. It's just across the river.
Okay. And I know the individuals in court, but you talked to this individual about her opening up her home and her background to be explored to see if it's appropriate through the worker. Will you discuss that with her?
Yep, we've actually sat quite a few days into some quite very lengthy and detailed conversations about it, and she has no issues at all with, you know, CPS needing to come in and do like home visits every 30 days, you know, none of that.
You forward her contact information to your worker so the worker can begin that process.
Absolutely. I was just waiting for her to come back from vacation to be able to communicate with her about it.
Well, you can always send an email and she can receive that and it'll be there waiting for her, right?
Okay, yep, absolutely.
Okay. How do you gauge your progress?
You know, I wouldn't say that I'm a perfect human being at this point, but I know that I am a night and day different human being than what I was a year ago. I know that I now have enough confidence in myself to be able to be out in the community and doing my own thing and be able to make correct choices. I know that I have gained, in the beginning of this, I couldn't have even told you what a core issue was or what a coping skill is. And, you know, I can identify pretty much all of my core issues. I have multiple coping skills to deal with those things. I have relapse prevention plans in place. I have a massive and extremely supportive recovery community and family. You know, I have people that I can call at 2 o'clock in the morning if I'm struggling with something. I definitely have the ability now that when I am struggling or I need help with something, I'm not afraid to reach out and ask for help. You know, there's been many times where I've been struggling with something. Even there's been some times where Kenzie has come up and just not been like comfortable in the situation. Things.
Not me.
Sorry.
No problem.
You know, that she's come up, not really been all that comfortable, and I haven't been able to, you know, soothe and comfort her and things. And so when I started to get a little bit struggled and overwhelmed, I reached out, called my recovery coach and said, you know, hey, can you please come help me? So, you know, she came down to support me and show me like, okay, you know, let's try this with her. Let's do this types of things with her. And then when it still was to the point where neither one of us really were working, I did reach back out to my aunt and said, hey, you know, we're struggling. Would you be willing to come back so we could continue the visit, get her to calm down? You know, before I would have just like hid that from everybody and things like that. So now, you know, I have the knowledge and the ability and the confidence to be able to reach out for help when I need it.
Did you say you have a good relationship with your aunt? Better maybe?
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, obviously you reached out to her, which is a good step, right?
Yeah.
Anything on the case service plan? I know you've read that. Anything that you see that you need help with accomplishing that you can't do on your own? Because it's anticipated as a parent, you're going to be taking the initiative to do things on your own as you have. But is there anything that you're going to need help with?
I think as of right now, I have, and for quite some time now even, have outside of the job in the independent living, which I'm working on, you know, I acquired the job, I'm working on the independent living as we speak. I have pretty much crossed off every single other requirement for me and have for quite some time now, outside of being able to participate and or attend in any like doctor's appointments and things like that.
Okay. Would you like the ability to participate virtually with doctor's appointments if that's available?
Yes, absolutely. I think that was what we had discussed last time we were here.
Has that been offered to you?
I have not been made, nobody's come, you know, I usually find out that, oh, you know, she's not feeling good, so she's got a doctor's appointment, you know, like next week, but that's about like the only thing I hear about it.
Right, but you've not been able to attend virtually these doctor's appointments?
No, sir.
Okay. And you realize what the court worker and everybody's looking at is exhibiting a period of sobriety, housing, transportation, recovery. It's the long term is what they're looking at right now to make sure you stay on the track.
Yeah. And here in another month and a week or so. I'm actually getting ready through my AA and Peer 360 Alliance groups that they're going to be doing a 1-year sobriety ceremony for me.
I was just going to ask that, so you anticipated what I was going to say. That's a good landmark for you, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Have we covered everything major that you want us to cover today?
Yeah.
You're going to share the information with your worker that we discussed here, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
I'll see if anybody else has further questions.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Thomas, any questions?
No, thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
Where do you live?
Currently 614.
Mr. Brooks, we're on YouTube, so I would encourage you to maybe avoid those specifics.
Well, I don't care about addresses. Let's talk about areas, okay?
Okay.
Where are these doctor's appointments at?
I have no idea. I don't know who her medical providers or anything are.
You live in Odyssey House, correct?
Yes, their housing program.
And is this in Saginaw as well?
Yes.
Where is this Home Depot job that you start tomorrow? Again,
Yeah, it's maybe between 4 and 4.5 miles, I believe, from my current address.
okay. And do you know where Mr. Wright lives?
No, sir.
Do you agree he's the father of your child?
Yes.
Do you own a car?
No, sir.
You also have support groups you've talked about, is that correct?
Many, yes.
How many of them are in Lenawee County?
None.
Are they in Saginaw County?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Did I ask you, do you own a car?
I do not.
But you do have a license.
I do.
Well, as this case progresses, my question to you is, how do you intend to negotiate all these different places, Palmyra and Saginaw and Lenawee County Court? I mean, how you gonna do all that?
I guess I don't understand the
How are you
question.
gonna make those appointments?
As of right now, I have reached out to people within my recovery community and my recovery family and my support systems. Like today, I received transportation from a friend of mine in my community who I gave her gas money and she brought me down here.
What is your plan in terms of how long you're gonna stay in the Odyssey House program?
If this move in which I'm speaking of is approved by CPS, I mean, if they were to approve it today, I could go home and pack and be moving today.
But you don't have a specific location at this point.
Yes, I do. It would be to my friend's address if they approve me moving in with her.
And without talking about addresses, where is that?
It's about half a mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile, something like that from where I currently live.
Same area.
Yeah, I can walk there in about 30 to 40 minutes. I can walk between her address and mine.
I've read the paper where Saginaw's got some issues with their bridges over the Saginaw River.
It gets a little bit confusing, but the longer I've been there and the better I am at navigating like the city bus system and the nicer it's getting, and I am getting out and walking more places.
Your Honor, is there a question there?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get around to the issues of how this lady is supposed to get from point A to point B and how many different point A's and B's there are. Seems like a legitimate question.
I didn't know whether it was structural on the bridge or traffic on the bridge or distance.
No, there's tolls problems on the bridge.
All right, I do think we're getting a bit far afield.
I'll move on.
Thank you.
Do you have any objection to my client seeing his daughter?
Absolutely not. I have always told him, as long as you can be a positive influence in our children's lives, I want nothing more than you to have a part of your children's lives.
You're using the plural. Do you have more than one child with my client?
We have 3.
You have 3.
Mhm.
Where are the other 2?
My mom has guardianship of our oldest 2.
And where does your mother live?
Hillsdale County.
I have no further questions.
Ms. Lumley, can you clarify, if you were to move in with your friend, would you still be part of the Odyssey House program?
I would no longer be part of, I have successfully completed and graduated residential. The steps to successfully complete and graduate housing is to find employment, and in addition to independent housing on top of mental and substance use stabilization. So if I have this address, that gives me all of my checks on their list. I will graduate and complete their housing program. And if I so choose, I can continue to participate because I'll still be a resident of Saginaw County. I may still participate in their outpatient program. So I can move out of their housing program and still participate in their outpatient programming, yes.
So is this move a solution to you being unable to pay the rent that Odyssey House is asking you to pay?
No, I did receive, or I did, put in a proposal to be able to get a 30-day extension on my rent and things like that. I'm waiting on the finalization from staff to come back on that, which yes, I am prepared and able to pay that rent. But at the same time, I understand that part of integrating back into society is the fact that I can't stay in the Odyssey housing program forever. I can't live there the rest of my life. I have to be able to stand out on my own 2 feet. So this gives me the opportunity to still have an independent housing that would then be compliant with this case, in addition to the next step in my rebuilding my life in sobriety.
Would you have to pay rent at this new house?
There has been discussion on that detail. We haven't worked out the exact, finalized, how exactly we're gonna accommodate all of that, or what the final details and conclusions of it are, but there will be some type of arrangement for something.
Will there be a rental agreement to secure housing for a period of time?
Yes.
Why haven't you asked anybody where your daughter goes to the doctor?
I mean, I have kind of a hunch of where she goes. I don't have any kind of confirmation, but at the last hearing, I did bring up the fact that I'm not included in things like doctor's appointments and stuff. And I do believe it was the court's ruling that I'd be given the opportunity to partake in that. And I have not been contacted about those appointments and things.
So my question is, why haven't you asked anybody where your daughter goes to the doctor?
I had been waiting to be contacted to let me know, oh, she's got a doctor. I did do the immunization waivers and things like that. And then I asked, what's the next step with this? And then, I've never heard really anything back on when she has appointments, when she doesn't, anything like that.
So Dawn doesn't tell you when the doctor's appointments are for the child?
Usually when I see her this, was it Tuesday? She didn't feel very good. And so,
Yes or no, please. The question was, did she tell you?
Mr. McFarland, is there an official objection there?
There is, Shari. She could just directly answer the question. It was, did she tell you? That'd be a yes or no.
Is there a court rule that applies to that objection?
I withdraw that to court. I just thought it'd be more on point for her to answer the question directly. So.
I'll leave it to Ms. Underwood to ask for that if she feels it's necessary. You may continue or repeat your question, whatever you want to do.
I believe that, I don't even remember the question, to be honest. I'll just move on, Your Honor. Don't you receive a copy of your daughter's medical passports every 90 days?
No, I've never received one. I don't even know what that is.
So the department doesn't provide you with any appointment information?
No, I don't even know what a medical passport is. I've never heard of it.
You indicated at the last hearing under oath that you didn't think that Matthew was the father of your daughter. Isn't that correct?
I don't know.
Okay, but you just testified today that he is.
I mean, in my eyes and legally on her birth certificate, yes, he is. Is he biologically? We don't know. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of a...
My last question is just going to be, I know the last hearing, the court was pretty clear about progress that you needed to make over this last reporting period. why did it take up until today for you to obtain employment?
I have been filling out multiple applications. I had gone on multiple interviews, and we kind of, between my recovery coach and I, we kind of came to a conclusion that I was applying for jobs that I like or that I wanted, or I have an associate's equivalent in early childhood development. I did not realize that this case made it so that I was no longer able to be employed in that type of a field. So I was taking interviews and things like that with like child care, like preschools, things like that. And then when it was like coming to my background and things, I started getting all of my job offers revoked or like pulled. So I did reach out to Miss Moore and asked her, can you please explain to me what me pleading no contest to this case does to my ability to work and things? And she did explain it to me. I said, is this like a forever thing, or how does this work? And we finished that conversation. So then I did start looking for other employment options that weren't maybe necessarily what I wanted, but it was the fact of it's time to be an adult and get a job. It's been like a month-long process from the time that I accepted the interview to going in and filing all of the background check information, waiting for that to come back, getting my orientation scheduled. So I mean, I've essentially had the job for about a month now. It's just I'm officially starting it tomorrow after all of the paperwork and logistics of it.
Okay. And I know I said that was my last question, but I just remembered when I was reading your psych eval, it said that you have all of the classes or hours completed for, was it welding? And all you need to do is take a certification?
Yes.
Have you considered maybe doing that?
My credits are old enough now that they would know I'm outside of the amount of time I would have had to have been able to take the certifications to be able to get certified in welding with the different styles and things like that. It's just, it's been too long since I've taken classes. I would need to, I could go in and probably pull off the certification still after I got my hands on a welder with a little bit of practice time. But if I wanted to go back through, I'd have to go back through and redo all the classes that I did to be able to get those hours back, to be able to take the full certification through school again. Because it's just been too long of a time.
Thank you for clarifying. No further questions.
Are you still on probation?
No, ma'am. I was discharged December 19th successfully, like 6 months early. My 7411 did stay intact.
All right. What are the connections to the community, the sobriety community that you've developed that are only available where you're living now?
I have a home AA group that I go to on Thursday nights. That I have quite a few, some of my roommates along with quite a few community members, we all go to it. We also socialize outside of that meeting. I'm also attending the Peer 360 Alliance meetings that are just a short walk from my house. I usually attend those at least 5 days a week. They also put on additional events on weekends and things, like they do game nights. We did a big St. Patrick's Day event. They did a big Black History Month event. I participate in the setting up and putting on of these events along with like the cleanup and takedown and everything after the events. I help set up and do like the coffee and bring in the snacks and stuff for, our daily meetings, things like that. And then I also have quite a few friends in other recovery housing programs in the city that, we get together and we'll go out and we'll have lunch, we socialize. If anybody is struggling, we can call each other, things like that. And also during some of these bigger Peer 360 events, I will put up and stay at a resource table for the Odyssey program where, people from the community can come in and take pamphlets and gain info.
I get the Peer 360 aspects of it. So you have friends there, you're part of a Peer 360 group, and you have an AA group. Is there a counselor or anything that's working with you?
Yes, I do have I have a recovery coach through my house. I also have one through Peer 360. I have a therapist through my outpatient group at Odyssey that I meet with once a week, on top of she does a group once a week in addition to the therapy that I go to.
And what of those opportunities change when you move out of where you're living?
If I were to stay in the outpatient portion of Odyssey program, I would still have the ability to meet with Blaine. I would still go to her groups. So really, as far as like the outpatient went, my address wouldn't change anything with that dynamic.
What does change?
really just my address and no longer being in the housing program. I am looking into getting into C-car training as soon as I have the required amount of clean time.
Which is how much?
It depends on what programs you do it through. Some, I believe Peer 360 does theirs at like 18 months. There's another program that you have to have, I think, 2 years. There might be another program that does it at a year. I would have to double check that with my therapist or my recovery coach.
How many months of sobriety do you have?
Almost 11. The 21st will be 11 months.
Do you intend to stay in the outpatient programming?
Yes, ma'am.
How will you tackle the transportation to be part of the community that you're in, given the distance?
At my current address, or even if I were to move with this new opportunity, everything is within like a half a mile to I can walk to it. I am in the process of trying to obtain either an electric bicycle or a moped. And in addition to that, there is city buses that I've become able to navigate that system very, very well. And on top of that, I do have recovery coaches and friends within my recovery community that I can reach out to and say, hey, you know, can you run me across town, drop me off at work, you know, things like that.
And do you intend to stay in the outpatient programming?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a cost to it?
I believe it would go through my insurance and things the way that it does now. I'm not 100% on that. You'd have to ask my therapist who's in court today.
Thank you. Questions based on my questions?
None, Your Honor. Thank you.
One,
Go ahead.
would it be fair to say for the next year, you're looking to stay up in Saginaw where your supports are?
Yes.
Nothing further.
No questions.
Okay. Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat.
Thank you.
Anyone else you'd like me to hear from, Mr. McFarland?
I'd like to add 2 questions for Ms. Moore.
For the caseworker?
Yes, Your Honor. Has the minor child been to a doctor, which my client would require notification in the last reporting period?
Yes, she has.
Will we be reaching out to her in the future and allowing her to participate by Zoom?
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah, I have one more question. With you wish for never mind, my client's already expressed she intends to stay in the outpatient program. Do you support her staying as part of the case service plan in the outpatient program up there at Odyssey House?
I believe I would support that. I would have to talk with my supervisor.
Nothing further?
Okay, anybody else you want to hear from?
No, thank you.
Mr. Brooks, any witnesses?
Matthew Wright.
Mr. Wright, come on over to witness. I want to say we are running behind. We did have a 2 o'clock and a 2:30 hearing that was scheduled that we may have to look at adjourning, but I would like to know from our attorneys if this case is if you're gonna have more witnesses, if we need to look for additional time on a different day.
This will be it, and mine won't take long.
I don't anticipate any questions.
I have no witnesses. Okay, all right, go ahead.
Mr. Wright, is this your first time in this courtroom?
No, it is not.
All right. You are familiar with the court report that was recently filed by Ms. Moore, right?
Yes.
Would it be a fair summary to say she's saying you haven't done anything?
Yes.
Would it be accurate?
No.
Why?
Because I've tried to work with her and numerous times trying to figure out a way to get to these places, and I mean, I can't help it. I don't have a license right now.
Well, she says you don't respond to her emails.
There are times that I don't respond that day. There may be a day or 2 or 3, you know, between those times, but I'm trying to figure out how to better my life too at the moment, and just because I didn't get back to it at that exact moment does not mean I'm not in communication.
She says that there have been programs for you to participate in that you failed to do even a minimal participation.
There was, but they are all not in the towns that I live in, and where I live, Chelsea, that's not like I can just hop on a bus or, you know, or even a cab. If I was to take a cab, but they had one would.
You own a car?
I do not.
Do you have a driver's license?
I do not.
Do you have access to friends or relatives who could transport you out of Chelsea into these neighboring communities? I say neighboring with quotes.
Friends, I've cut all my friends off trying to get my life back on track and figure it out. And I don't really have any family left here other than my brother, and my brother does not have a license either.
Brother what?
My brother does not have a license as well.
I see. To summarize your testimony, and you tell me if I've got it wrong, it's next to impossible for you to get to any of these things.
Without breaking the law, yeah.
Have you made the department aware of this?
I have made Macy aware of this on a couple of different occasions, yeah.
The caseworker has said that they've offered to get you gas cards. Would that improve the situation at all?
Not really. I mean, I could get the gas cards, but what would I do with them? I mean, I've tried to schedule a couple different rides to these places, but once again, I'm at the mercy of the people I'm asking. You know, if they say, yeah, they're going to do it, and then the day comes where it's time to do it, and they don't show up or quit answering the phone or, you know, just blow me off, I'm not in control of that.
Now, looking ahead after today, how are you going to improve this situation in the eyes of the court, which frankly, I'm sure has come to the conclusion you're not even trying?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of at a loss with the only solution I really can think of at this moment. I mean, if I could find a job, I could pay for Uber or, you know, anything, share a ride or anything like that. But it's hard to do without being able to get to places to, you know, go to interviews or anything like that.
Have you considered moving back to, well, have you considered moving to Lenawee County?
Yes, I have, but.
Have you ever lived here?
Yes, once.
When?
When all this originated.
Why'd you move to Chelsea?
Okay, Mr. Brooks, I'm just gonna ask you to maybe table this conversation to chat with your client about another time. This is really only about the progress that's been made in the last 90 days. I'd be happy to hear about however this conversation ends and how it would be important for us moving forward at our next review.
Well, I'll concede there's been no progress.
Any more questions for your client?
No.
Any questions for this witness?
None here?
I have a few. Mr. Wright, how did you get here today?
I begged and pleaded and basically gave $50 to get a ride today.
And have you had any criminal matters in this last reporting period?
Yeah. Wow, since the last time I was in court?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, and what are those?
I got pulled over after I borrowed a car trying to go to work to make money and got pulled over. I had a warrant, so they took me on that, and I spent all of my tax money to pay off the it was fines that I had a warrant for, which were from 2019. Paid them off, and then I had to give the person the money that I borrowed the car from to be able to get their car out of impound. And at that point, I was broke again.
Do you believe you're the biological father of the minor child?
I do, yes.
Why have you not then taken the required or the requested DNA testing?
And once again, it's a ride. I mean, Chelsea's kind of, it's in the middle of nowhere, really. I mean, Ann Arbor's close, Jackson's close, they're like 20 minutes away, but once again, if you're relying on somebody else and not trying to break the law and do right, but I mean, everybody's not following through on their end when they say they're gonna, kind of makes it harder. So I'm in a between a rock and a hard place. I mean, I can comply with court, yes, but to do so, I would have to break the law. So it's catch-22 here.
No further questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat.
Thank you.
No further witnesses.
Comments in closing, beginning with Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Honor. It seems that we've been at a standstill in this case for quite some time as it relates to Mr. Wright. And I hear a lot of it's not my fault. However, the actions and decisions he's made in his past have led him to the natural consequences of those as presented today. The agency is responsible for offering reasonable efforts towards the goal of reunification, which includes maintaining that contact, offering the referrals, and assisting with transportation as reasonable and or necessary. And I think that has been met at this point. And it's also incumbent on the parents to comply with their case service plan and benefit from the case service plan. So I just want to make sure that the focus is on the right person and the right people at this time, especially as it relates to Mr. Wright. As it relates to Miss Lemley, it's great that she continues to make progress in her sobriety and maintain that. I know that at the last juncture, she had also indicated that she was done with her probation. And, you know, I wish her the best in finding that stability and independence as she moves forward. However, it's very questionable on how this is going to look for this child to transition to more parenting time in a sustainable way. I know that Miss Lemley has taken responsibility for stating that she'll either have to pay for a ride or rent a car. And then, you know, if we're continuing to look at reunification, what that might look like to work, manage outpatient treatment, manage daycare and childcare, and do all of those things. And so I am asking for at least I think we're going to be here for a couple more reviews, but I think at least one more to see how that's going to pan out with the new schedule and routine of everyone. But otherwise, Your Honor, we are just asking for if there's going to be parenting time with Mr. Wright, again, that he avail himself to Ms. Moore to make that reintroduction phase. I don't have a good solution or argument about the distance between everyone and the limitations on transportation. It is a really unfortunate situation. However, the innocent party here is the child. So I just would ask the focus regarding parenting time be on the child and another 90-day review. Thank you.
Comments, Mr. McFarland?
Not objecting to a 90-day review. My client has thought out her situation, has sought all services available, and is progressing under the case service plan. And it sounds as though the worker's agreeable with her progression, where she's going. She has a plan for visiting the child, Ann Arbor, Adrian. She'll address some of those issues. Sounds as though Saginaw is where she is going to get a more intensive program than we could probably get here. So I think she's answered honestly to the court, so we would agree with a review.
Mr. Brooks, any comments?
I would have told you that we're going to have two parents in different counties, a child in the third county, and neither parent has transportation available to them to comply with this court's orders. If we were doing that in the abstract, you, I, Mr. McFarland, everybody who's had experience in these cases would say those people are toast. They can't possibly comply. And then that seems to be the situation with my client. I think something needs to change on that. You can't just say, well, Mr. Wright, make it better. What he's required to do, given his current circumstances, order on impossible certainly would require some sort of heroic effort on his part that I question whether he can comply with. I appreciate the fact that nobody has moved for termination of parental rights in this case, but I can't see where it could go anywhere else in the not too distant future if something doesn't change here. Thank you.
Ms. Underwood?
To be the bearer of the bad news for Mr. Brooks, because I believe that Mr. Wright has done next to nothing Despite the fact that there are barriers, it shouldn't take 2 or 3 days to return a message. The department has clearly shown their willingness and ability to help with transportation when it comes to parenting time. They've extended that for Miss Lindley. I'm certain they would have done the same for Mr. Wright had he actually made some type of effort, but I haven't seen any effort on his part in the last 10 months that this child has been in care. She's 15 months old. That's 2/3 of her life, and we've seen very little progress. Also asked that there be a DNA test to confirm whether he even is the father of the child, and that hasn't been done. I think it's imperative that we determine who or whether Mr. Wright is the child's father. And if he is, I would request that the goal be changed to termination for Mr. Wright. However, I would understand if the court were to give him one more 90-day review to make some significant strides and to get that DNA test to confirm that he actually is the biological parent of his child. As for Ms. Lindley, I'm happy to see that she is still sober. And she has made progress in that regard. However, I do feel like there is a lack of progress when it comes to the employment and the housing situation. I'm glad to see that things are getting lined up now, but there's really nothing confirmed other than what we're hearing will maybe start happening this week. I would ask that the court remain with the reunification goal for Ms. Lindley with potentially a dual goal of guardianship or adoption, so that, again, by the next hearing, we will be a year into this case, and this child does deserve permanency and stability, and she is getting that in her current placement. I would ask for a standard 90-day review and that the child be continued in her current placement. Thank you.
Thank you. The court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's review hearing and permanency planning. I do find the case does have reasonable efforts towards the goal of reunification, spearheaded by Ms. Macy Moore. That includes, of course, the many referrals that she's spoken to on the record and the information contained in the court report. I want to say thank you for ensuring that we did get the Native American heritage information as the court asked specifically for last hearing. So I appreciate that, Ms. Moore, that you took the time to ensure that we have that for the file, as well as that psychological evaluation. I will say the piece that's missing that your client can work on between now and the next review, Mr. McFarland or Ms. Moore, if you want to dig into this, is what, if any, specific attention has been given to Ms. Christina Lemley's progress as it relates to the aspects of domestic violence and child abuse and neglect that were present at the outset of this case. There was a recommendation, as there is always, frankly, in Dr. Haugen's evaluation for specifically a book and a workbook, I think it is, that speaks to abuse and neglect and identifying that and helping parents understand and plot a way forward around that. I don't think it addresses the domestic violence aspects of the challenges that are sometimes associated with use of substances and were clearly associated with the events surrounding the removal of the child and historically between these two parents, as was further detailed in that psychological evaluation. So that's a piece I didn't hear about today. The positive things for Ms. Lemley clearly include 11 months sober as of the 21st and engagement on a lot of the opportunities that she has within her sober community, I'll call it. And I think that she's done a nice job of maintaining her sobriety, using those opportunities. We're at a point in the case where we need to see what she's going to do in order to prioritize and incorporate her child into this, rather than just simply requiring the child to undergo the commute that is obviously causing stress both on her placement and on the child. I'm not going to require that this child continue to do that if that helps Ms. Macy Moore understand what the family planning needs to look like moving forward. So as much as I want to simply just celebrate your victories here, Ms. Lemley, we have to remember, as Ms. Thomas reminded us, that the child is the priority here. I need to see further sobriety and development on the pieces of the case services plan that continue to be important, that housing, employment aspect of it. I need the information on the therapeutic interventions and your progress in those areas. And also see you looking at how the visitation is affecting your child and how that affects your bond with that child. Because if the child is now associating visitation with mom with a torturous amount of time in a car, I can't imagine that's going to be good for your parent-child bond. So keep that in mind moving forward. I think it will take at least another review period to see what your developments are going to be, Ms. Lumley, where you're going to end up, what that looks like with regard to where your child is at on that list. I will say, I think that you continuing to prioritize your sobriety goes a long way towards being a good, responsible parent for that child, whether or not that means that she stays where she's at or she moves with you. And so that's what I'm going to be keeping in mind, and I hope that you will too. Mr. Wright is going to be carried along by the case until and unless we see what happens with Ms. Lumley. He's done very little to advance any progress in all of the identified areas and has not even communicated really with the department. Nevertheless, he will have an additional opportunity simply because Ms. Lumley has made, frankly, very significant progress in the area of sobriety that justifies me continuing the case moving forward on a reunification track at this point. The reunification goal is about the child, not about the parent. So I will not bifurcate one parent with adoption, one parent with reunification, because I think given Ms. Lumley's significant progress, that we still need to leave that door open for reunification between her and her child. The child is placed with relatives, which also sometimes presents additional opportunities for contact. I noticed in the court report that there are some opportunities for some Zoom visits with the child that weren't taken advantage of. So I will be looking at that as well in the future. It's important that this child have a positive bond and look forward to visits and have that relationship established in a way that reflects both education around the challenges that Ms. Lumley's overcome, but also an understanding of child development, child needs, and child priorities. So those are the pieces I'm going to be looking at for progress in the next report period. We will have our next review and permanency planning hearing on July 8th at 11 a.m. Again, that'll be July 8th at 11 a.m. Until then, the child will remain placed with her relatives. That is the safest and least restrictive under the circumstances for all the reasons I've already articulated. The order will